And to start off, as a matter of fact, I've got a question from Brighton,
Right.
who would like to know how to build a startup capital and how to network and put himself out there to be recognized in line with rethinking, reframing, and restarting.
That's such a tough question. So, how to build startup capital? I think it would depend on the industry he's in, because his startup capital requirements would be dependent. They're very industry specific, right? So for a services-based business, you don't need as much startup capital as you do for a business that needs infrastructure. First, it would depend on the industry he's in. Second, would be for him to consider how many Series A funders exist in that industry. So just an aside, the way the funding system works is there's something called Series Seed. So Series Seed is when you have an idea and you need somebody to seed you money to start going. Beyond that is Series A, B, and C. That means the level at which you've graduated, right? So for him, it would be how many funders operate at a Series Seed level in that specific industry. So for instance, if I'm in tourism, there are, as I know, 4 different funders in the tourism space who will give you seed capital to get started. And then the third thing for him to consider, and I like the way he's asked the question, is around how do I accumulate startup capital, would actually be to see if he can use customers to do that. The most effective way to fund a business is your customers. It's not external capital. So if there is a service you want to render, it's to get the customers to pay you up front.
Okay, so we have a question here by Usizwe Maduna, and I'll just paraphrase. He's basically saying that he registered a company under his dad's name. He sort of started an agency 4 months ago, but because of the COVID-19 lockdown, he has not been able to actually get the business going.
Yeah.
He finds himself now in a financial rut. How does he get out of that situation that he finds himself in?
Yeah,
what should he do?
That's a great question, Fez. I think, you know the mistake we often make, because particularly in South Africa, we love the idea of owning a business, right?
True.
We don't think about, a business is an instrument for the work. It's not the purpose for existing. Yeah. If you think about it. So if I want to do creative work, say, and I register a business, that there is a COVID doesn't mean I can't do the creative work. It just means I can't operate the business. That makes any sense.
Yeah.
So the answer for him might be to think about how does he offer his skills to people who still require his skills without necessarily getting them to sign a contract with his business. It's very big now, right? It's called this thing called the gig economy. So there might be something for him to try. We use it in our firm. There are several like this. There's a platform called TaskRabbit. We use Upwork. And all of those are global platforms where, say, I want a logo designed. I go on it and I say, I need somebody to design a logo.
Yeah.
And it will publish to 10,000 logo designers around the world that Vusi in Joburg needs a logo designed. He's willing to pay $25 an hour. Do you want to bid for the work? So that might be something for him to consider, rather than I've started a business, I can't do a website, I can't. He should take his skill and make this skill available on an ecosystem that already exists. That might be the better way to go.
That's very interesting. As a matter of fact, it links to this other question that I do have from Sydney Tonderai, which I'll also paraphrase.
Right.
He's speaking about purpose,
right,
and being able to continue with business in this context. And the second question, or rather the second point that he has to his question, is that as a young black man, this is what he says, I have acknowledged that I'm starting from a negative due to black issues, for example, educational debts. As I'm acquiring wealth for my generation, how do I make sure that my generation carries over and maintains the wealth without choosing for them what career path to take? And as millennials, how do we choose, for example, to become a ballerina instead of holding up a family wealth? You know, this is the question that he has, which is quite also interesting.
So, I mean, in his second part of the question, I suppose what he's saying is, how do I make decisions about career that are linked to the realization of talent rather than me wanting to make money? It's not a uniquely South African problem. In fact, if you go to Tibet today, the average Tibetan has exactly the same problem. They're in the first or second generation of the majority of Tibetans being able to access the economy. Because what people forget is Tibet had its own version of what we here called apartheid. Yeah. So they're in their first or second generation. And true too for those families, you'll often find the family marshalling the children towards sectors where they will become gainfully employed rather than sectors where they can perform in the creative arts. Because as generations and civilizations that have not yet accumulated wealth, we don't place a lot of value on creative arts. We tend to place value in sort of the industrial sectors, right? So I understand the question, but I think the thing for him might be to consider is this, and this is just my own kind of relationship with wealth, right? Wealth is about options. It's not about money. It's a mistake often people make. So if you think about why we want money, we actually want money because we want options.
Yeah, it's very true.
You want to wake up in the morning on a Wednesday and go, I don't want to work today.
Exactly.
You know?
You want to own your time.
You want to, exactly. That was going to be my next point. First is options, second is time. If you went to any wealthy person today, and I have the privilege of knowing some of the wealthiest people in this country, and you ask them, what is the one thing you wish you could buy with your money? Let's say time. Almost all of them unanimously, right? The interesting thing about human beings is we spend our time to accumulate wealth, we expend our health to accumulate money, and then once we have the money, we want to buy time and health. Yeah. So it's almost if we start with the very thing and then we use it, and at the end of the cycle, we want to get back and own exactly that thing. So, I mean, I don't have a direct answer to his question. I would say to him, though, to think a bit more about what does he want the wealth for, and what are his intentions with that wealth. And then just a final comment. I don't want to wax lyrical on this, but I love when people talk about intergenerational wealth, right? So the idea that I must leave something to generations that come after me, and he kind of alludes to that in the question. The thing about intergenerational wealth to realize is often first generations which generate the wealth live well beneath their means. See, if you live at your means or above it, then by definition there's nothing to leave behind because you're expanding what you're making, right? Yeah. So the way to leave wealth behind is to live well beneath your means. Living beneath your means in South Africa today as a person of color ain't easy. Because the messaging around us is all about being ostentatious. What do I drive? Where do I live? What do I wear? Who are my friends? What do I drink? That's the culture that we're in. Yeah. And as young people, that's the culture that we are immersed in. So if you want to accumulate wealth and leave wealth behind, you must understand that you are going to have to live outside of that culture. And the question for him is, does he have the self-control? I believe that my Creator put me on this earth for a specific assignment. So I've got a job to do. Now, people often misunderstand assignment for destination. Those are not the same things. Assignment is the job to do. Destination is the place to go. And in going to the place, I have the job to do.
Right.
Your question was around how does he link that to his purpose? It's a tough question to answer because many people often don't think about their assignment on earth.
Yeah.
What are you here for? So we think often about, just think about it. We go to school. At school, we're taught to get a skill. You get a skill. With that skill, you're taught to make an income. You make an income. With that income, you're taught to spend it. Where is assignment there? Where's purpose? Where does it connect? Right? Yeah. This is, by the way, why I have a great respect and reverence for people in the creative arts, because people in the creative arts literally every single day choose their assignment.
Absolutely.
And often they choose their assignment applying their skill in a sector that will never pay them what they're truly worth. Like, I don't think we've paid Brenda Fassie what she was truly worth.
True.
We didn't pay Mahlatini what he was truly worth. Do you understand? Like, these people influenced a time, a generation. They left us all richer. We have memories that, you know, as children were created to the songs of Ulaki Dube. And I'm not sure we paid him what he was truly worth. So the question for people who ask the question around what is my purpose is, do you understand your assignment? Like, why are you here?
Yes.
And that's not a question Vusi can answer for you. That's a question you can answer for yourself in a conversation with your creator. Why are you here? Absent of you on earth, what would be missing? What's your contribution? And when you move on, what is the thing you will leave behind that will live the world and leave the world a much better place than you found it? It's a deep, deep question.